Julian, thanks for coming down, and it's nice to meet you, man.
Mate, you too.
Coming
No
along
worries.
to Big Wonder. This is number 10 episode, which I'm pretty
Number
pumped
10.
about. Number
Ooh,
10.
it's a good number.
Sweet little number. They say that most podcasts don't crack 7.
7 episodes. That's the average death.
That's the average
death rate.
podcast death.
Okay.
Is number 7.
Well,
so
congrats. You're not dead.
I'm not dead.
Very positive.
It's really good, man, and it's been a really interesting, because this is only, I think I probably started about 5 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been sort of like
That's 2 a week.
cracking through them, yeah, and it's been good. Probably one of the biggest takeaways is learning to really focus.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a bit of a drifter,
Me too.
right? You just
Yeah,
see the
yeah.
two of us going,
Yeah.
fuck is this, guys?
If there's blank space for a minute, just know that inside our heads, it's exciting. There's amazing stuff happening.
That's what I
No, I'm
try
the
to
same
say to my wife. She's like, "You're glossing over. You're gone." I'm like, yeah. Well, it's just something that you said that was really cool, and then I went and followed that tangent
I daydreamed it.
for a bit. Yeah.
Well,
But
apparently we daydream like half the time.
Yeah, my
anyway.
job is to daydream,
Yeah. And then act
think
it
shit
out.
up. Yeah, remember it somehow.
Yeah, mate.
So our good friend James put us in touch.
Yep.
James was.
I need to catch up with him now that I'm back. I haven't seen him in years.
Oh, really?
Well, he's got long hair now.
Oh, it's fucking. I mean,
I
it's
don't think it was that long. It was medium. It was about your length, I think.
Right. I mean, he's got quite the head of hair.
Oh, okay.
It's like James Morrison type.
He could do a lot with it, like
and
man
it's
bun.
thick.
Okay.
Thick and massive, like
you
Chris
hear that,
Hemsworth.
James?
Thick. It's thick.
It's thick.
I have very fine hair, so whenever I see someone with super thick hair, I'm like, God, that's some beautiful hair.
Oh, sorry, man. You've got quite thick hair.
Yes, you do. Just hating over
Sorry, yeah. When I get a trim, I'm always surprised by how much hair is on the ground.
Like, do you watch Archer?
No.
He's like, my hair's so thick, I need to go to the hairdresser's twice. Or something like that to get it cut twice. It's a fucking funny show.
Oh, that's an Aussie show.
No. Archer's the American animation, and he's like this private. He's like a spy who's fucking drunk all the time, and he's incredibly narcissistic and arrogant. Bangs everything that moves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I'll have to check it out.
Into like their 10th season. I kind of lost it after about 6 recycled jokes, but Archer, the first 5 seasons are kind of groundbreaking. It's a pretty awesome show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got quite the cult following. So you've been out in Canada.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Canada's epic.
Yeah, well, like, basically I finished acting school and then...
Which was 16th Street, is that
16th
right?
Street, was 16th Street. And then it was a mixture of a couple of things that kind of steered me in that direction.
Yeah.
But... yeah, I think the main difference, I think, in how I knew it would be a good idea too, is that my sister had been over there and shot a couple of TV series.
So she's an actress as well.
Actress, yeah.
Oh, right.
She'd worked on Fringe and Once Upon a Time, and so I knew like a lot was shooting out there.
Yeah.
And then at school we had this guy Jason Siner come and give us a talk about LA and Hollywood and everything and how to go about it. And then also basically pitched us the idea of Vancouver and how you can get a 2-year work permit before the age of 30, blah, 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 which they've now extended to 35. And you can go there and just, it's a good idea if you can do it to go and give it a crack there.
Yeah.
There's just so much shooting.
There's tons. I a good friend of mine. I got 2 people out there now. Good friends, both actors. David Beamish and Kira Farrell. She's in Toronto, and both her cousins are like crushing it. Her little cousin was just on Handmaids, and
nice.
had a big scene with what's her name, Elizabeth.
I don't know.
Right.
Mad Men.
That one?
Yep, that one.
Yeah,
yep.
Elizabeth Moss, I think her name is. And her other cousin, that girl's brother, if I'm not mistaken, auditioned for Tom Holland's role, like as Peter Parker.
Oh, yeah.
Like was up in that that ballpark. So that they're doing great things.
Yeah, you get a crack in Canada. They're just connected pretty much directly to the source.
Can I hold that thought for 2 seconds?
That's what it feels like.
Sorry, I've just had a terrible feeling that switched off.
Camera's cut out.
Oh,
We good?
yay!
And unpause.
Yay. It's like that. Oh, my passport. Where's my passport? Did I forget it?
Oh yeah, love that feeling.
Right in your hand.
I've had that a few times. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people, like a lot of actors that I chat to in Melbourne, and people have messaged me asking me what it's like over there and stuff. I think people still don't get the full picture, and they don't think it's that different to Australia. Maybe.
Oh really?
Well, I don't know. I don't know generally what what they're thinking, because I think everyone's got their eyes on LA,
right?
And then they go like, well, at some point I'm just going to go to LA anyway. But if you actually, if you're an actor out there or whatever, and you want to kind of get more of an idea, just look up, like Google what's filming in Canada, and you get like, they actually have, I think it's through the Canadian Actors Union, they have like a page of all the stuff that's shooting currently, and it's a bigger list than what you would think. It's pages. It's pages and pages. It's like a bunch of look, there's also stuff that's not that exciting, like Hallmark movies and daytime movies and whatever. But then there's a bunch of Hollywood films, and then a lot of TV shows.
A lot of TV shows.
Like the network CW, they've got, I think, like 11 series on that they're making themselves.
Yeah.
And out of that 11, 10 are shooting in Vancouver.
And there must be half of them
American
are
network.
DC.
Yeah, a lot of those are like, Arrow, Supergirl,
Flash, Titans.
Flash, yep.
And Batgirl now.
Batwoman,
tanked.
That's not doing so good?
Dude.
Oh,
It fucking tanks so badly. People
Poor
are like, I feel like...
What about Ruby?
She's Aussie, isn't she?
No, yeah. Poor Ruby.
I liked her in John Wick. But yeah, it hasn't done well.
Oh, damn.
But it's a shame because I'm a big comic book fan. Like I wanted to be a comic book drawer when I was younger, studied illustration. So I'm all the way there. But when I see them turning superhero shows into like superhero soap opera, it's that kind of blocking and what have you. It's like, and then you watch something like Daredevil, and that's where a superhero show should be, in my opinion.
Different kind of level. It's
just darker and it's a bit more real and it's a bit grittier, and the blocking is a little bit more cinematic as opposed to that real TV show style. I feel like with Titans, they crossed that line a little bit and got closer to it.
I didn't really get into Titans. Did you like Titans?
I couldn't get into it still.
Yeah.
I thought that they were introducing swearing into this show, that it was going to lift that, because all of them were still PG.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's not realistic to me either.
For superhero shows, you kind of want it to be that kind of level up.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be fuck this and fuck that. None of the Avengers and that are throwing F-bombs around. You don't need the F-bombs, but still need a bit of that back and forth, that grit, that sort of more relatable dialogue, I think.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I didn't love the rest of Daredevil's world. His was the only one that was realistic, like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and all of them, that I felt missed their mark.
So you've watched all of those shows? Or you've given them a crack?
Yeah, I've watched all the Daredevil, and he did a team up called Defenders with the other 4 shows.
Oh, okay.
The rest of them I could't get all the way through.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember seeing a promo for that. I struggle with most TV shows.
Really?
To get into it. Yeah, because for me, I feel like it's a huge time commitment.
It is. It's a massive time commitment.
So I'll sit there and I'll flick through whatever, Netflix or whatever, and I'll be like, oh yeah, like this show, you should give it a crack. Yeah, people are talking about this one, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to watch a movie. So because then I can have the beginning, middle, and end, and it ends.
And I can walk away.
And I've only worked on TV shows, so
I was just about to say, nice time to segue into what you were recently working on.
I have kept up. I had to watch. Well, I felt like I had to watch Riverdale to kind of catch up to where I was coming in, so I knew what was going on. But otherwise, it's just like a lot of effort, and most TV isn't super original, like you're saying, the storylines, it's just like, it's either a soap opera or a cop show wrapped up in a different wrapper.
Yeah.
And like cop shows, they work for a reason. They've got it's easy format, and you've got that beginning, middle, end, and then maybe a series arc and stuff. But same thing. I just I know this is going to be a huge commitment. I don't know if I can go for it.
Look, it is, and you really do. We
I'd
sort of
rather
have
just rewatch The Karate Kid, the original. Just watch it over and over.
I thought you were about to say you're going to rewatch the most recent one.
No, doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's a bit like all the follow-ups to The Crow. They don't exist to me. There's only one Crow.
They did follow-ups to The Crow. I didn't even know that.
Exactly. You're better off.
That's right, Julian.
And they're trying to fucking get another one out of the bag, which I'm pretty sure Jason Momoa has signed on to do. And I'm like, just fucking leave it alone, you know? Brandon Lee smashed it. It's still awesome.
Yeah.
I watch it every couple of years. It fucking pumps.
Yeah.
And it gets better and better. It's like one of those few films.
It's got a pretty interesting energy about it too, right?
Very interesting energy.
People don't really know how to recreate that.
No.
I feel, it's not something that can be super orchestrated. Same thing with The Joker. Like, I think there's something about that movie that, you know, some people, a lot of the critics didn't like it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't really know why. But a lot of people loved it. Some people are going to be super uncomfortable with it because it's very dark.
It is. It's super dark.
But like that energy, like...
Well, I had a guest on here just recently, Mark Diaco, and we were talking about The Joker quite extensively, but it really does tap into older films and that sort of slow build
Taxi Driver
and pace. Taxi Driver, 100%. And that's already been spoken about publicly. But that was the first thing when he's got those moments alone in the mirror and what have you. You're like, oh, this is Taxi Driver. But not. And so awesome for being that. And The Crow really paved the way for films like Dark City, a great Australian film that no one seems to have seen.
Haven't seen it.
It's Mark, what's his name? Rufus Sewell.
Rufus is in it.
Yeah, and Melissa George.
I've met Rufus a few times because he was working in Vancouver.
Right. Bit of a prick, isn't he?
What do you mean? In movies?
In real life? Or is he right?
What? Why do you think he's a prick?
I've come across him, and he was
Here we go.
years ago, and he was in this department store in Edinburgh for the festival or whatever, and he had this
prick.
He had this entourage with him, and he was talking to them like absolute dirt, and I just went, come on, buddy.
It's a shame.
That's a bit rough. I know Knight's Tale's just come out, you know, and you're on top of the world right now.
So this was a while ago?
Yeah, this is like 2002.
Oh, he must have had a bit of character development since then.
So he was nice.
He was so lovely.
Oh, that's great.
I met him in LA randomly. I was just in this smoothie bar, and he was there with his daughter. And
a daughter will do it.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know, but he seemed very down to earth. Like, she was just running around, and then we kind of just got chatting, and he was very chatty and open. And then it didn't really bother him too much, and then I left, and this was in Lost Feelers in LA, and then at some point, I think last year, I was in a cafe in Vancouver, like a local one near my place, and I saw him in there, and I was just like, Rufus. Like,
hey, buddy.
Hey, mate. And I was just like, you probably don't remember me. We met in a smoothie bar, and he was like, in LA. And then he remembered me, and we got chatting again. And then I just kept bumping into him. And I took a photo with him, and which I don't often do with whatever.
Yeah.
But like sometimes it's just nice.
Well, if you had that kind of experience up to that point, it's a little bit more warranted.
Yeah, and like I he's a fucking gun actor.
He's incredible.
He's a gun.
Big fan.
He's awesome. And good at playing bad guys. Really good at that.
He's I mean, not the best, but he's great. And that voice of his is
an accent. Yeah. And my sister texted me saying like, Julian, Rufus is a friend. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, screw you. Of course he is. Bloody hell. But then, I just kept bumping into him. And then I actually bumped into him at the airport one time. We were on the same flight. And then it got cancelled. So we both had to like rebook flights. And he's become a good friend of mine.
That's awesome.
But nah, like,
No, but
I'll
that's
text
cool.
him after this. Go like, apparently you're a dick.
Do you remember this time back in 2001 in Edinburgh where you were just...
But it was nice. It was nice that time we missed the flight because I finally got to ask him about like Heath Ledger and and working on Knight's Tale and then it was just so cool to like hear about their experience. I think they were shooting in Prague, and and they, you know, like young guys, kind of just like they in the lead up to the film, just having a lot of fun, you know, getting pissed together, and like they became good buddies. And
God, he must have been gutted.
It was yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's still not something that even, you know, as a fan or, you know, not someone who knew Heath or anything like that, but you still just go, you watch him on screen.
Yeah,
and
sucks.
It sucks. You know, there's very few that still affect me.
And it's too common, yeah. And I don't even know the full picture of what happened or anything, but like, you know, it'd be really sad if it was... Well, I mean, so many reasons how it could have happened or whatever, but you know, like especially in the States with just prescription medication and all that bullshit. Like,
well, it was only you know, a year before Michael Jackson went down for the same thing.
Oh, really?
And you know, well, it was just a cocktail prescribed to him by his doctor, who's been dragged over the coals for malpractice. And then, you know, Prince recently was a similar deal. It was just my understanding, I could be totally wrong, that he was dealing with, he was ill or he had pneumonia or some fucking thing.
I don't know if that happens in Australia.
I don't think so.
You know, because if you've got your doctor, yeah, I mean, this is a bit off topic, but like if you've got your doctor and you're telling him everything that you're taking or whatever, he'd probably be, you know, more likely to say like, no, don't take that, or do this instead, or whatever. Whereas in the States, it just seems like they're pushing.
It's very cultural.
Because of the...
Yeah. And they make... I mean, the kickbacks are massive because they're...
Industry.
Well, yeah, the pharmaceuticals are paying, you know, not backhanders, but it's a sales system where they're getting incentives to push drugs and stuff like that. I mean, that's fucking criminal. But
So the lesson for actors out there...
Meditate.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Just meditate, smoke weed.
Take care of yourself. Don't do drugs.
If you're going to do drugs, do mushrooms.
Do less drugs.
Two conflicting stories. So then talk to me about Riverdale. I mean, that's got to be sort of one of your highlights for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really, really cool. I still don't even know what's going to happen going forward. Like, I don't know. People tell you stuff like they kind of told me that I'd be back at some point, but who knows? I don't know. I'm in Australia now and I don't have a work permit over there anymore.
Right.
So they would have to get me a work permit. So yeah, they'd have to be like really keen on my character being back in the storyline.
And tell me about your character. Yeah, tell me about your character then.
It's pretty funny. Yeah, pretty interesting guy.
Yeah.
His name's Elio Grande.
Elio Grande.
Yeah, he didn't have a last name for a few episodes, and then all of a sudden I got a script and it was like Elio Grande, and then it's interesting how like when you're working on a TV scripts and then you're this kind of bit part character, and as you go along, you have to be open to like more stuff is you're gonna find out more about your character as it goes along. Like all of a sudden, he was like. When I was first introduced in season 2, end of season 2, he was like the son of a mob family. So I don't know if you guys watch Riverdale.
I haven't personally.
Yeah,
no.
Well, Veronica on the show, her family is like kind of part of the mob.
Right.
So there's all these interesting storylines with like her family and her dad especially, and so then my character came in and was kind of offering her a business deal. And she didn't go for it, but it was kind of like, I guess it was like a little bit of an introduction to this possible character. And then I didn't know what was going to happen if, you know, I did this one episode. I was like, yeah, great, cool. I was so pumped when I got that.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And then they gave me a call up, asked me back for season 3. And I think at the beginning it was like one episode with possibly a couple more. And at this point, he now has his own casino. So the original business offer was like to go into business and have a casino together. and then it became she didn't go for it. He's got his own casino now. It's doing really well, but she needed his help, and then
She's back into the fray a little.
Yeah, she needed help getting into this thing. So, and he's got mob connections, so he was able to help her out. And then later on, they just kept kind of asking me back, and it kind of just went episode by episode. But yeah, the next time she needed his help, she needed to raise some money. So she wanted to run a casino night with Elio's help. So then I helped her run this thing at her bar. She owns a bar. She's 16, right? Has her own bar. Totally normal.
How old's your character?
I don't know.
Right. You just never touched on it.
No one knows. Yeah, I've asked people.
Right.
And they've been like, we don't know, like 19, 20.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's different over there, dude.
You do have a younger look about you too. So
yeah, if I'm clean shaven as well, I look like a baby.
I had no idea. Like when I looked at your Instagram, I was like, oh yeah, like I could totally see you on
ambiguous.
On that, yeah. So you're a bit villainous. Like, is your character?
Well, then in that casino episode, then my character tries to swindle her out of her money and kind of like rig it. It was great. It was so much fun. It was like, they really like to borrow from classic films and stuff. So it was very much Casino Royale. So I watched that movie. And it was a good reference point because it was very like, like Poker Face.
Right.
But I kind of just wanted to enjoy it. And he's a bit younger and arrogant. So a lot of kind of, smiling assassin kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she finds out that he's going to swindle her for the money, so then she rigs it, and
so you guys are
basically we end up like going all in on blackjack, and I hit a 20, she hits a 19, and I'm like, see, you shouldn't have, this is going to be my business soon, blah blah blah, and then she's like, oh really, hit me, and I'm like, what? And then boom, hits a 2. Like, Jesus Christ. It's like, come on, mate.
As if.
Yeah. Classic. And then I just proceeded to become more and more of an asshole each episode after that, which is so much fun.
That's awesome. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun to play. Fun. Yeah.
And so all up, how many episodes did you do?
Now 8.
Right.
Yeah.
And are they all aired?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Right.
So season 4 just came out like I think last week. It just aired. And so I think they're shooting like episode 9 or 10 at the moment.
Right.
So it's 22 episode season.
Ah, okay.
So who knows? I just keep trying to let it go and not think about it because, like when they tell you, oh, we'll have you back. You'll be back on the show.
Yeah, you go.
It's like,
I'll believe it when I see it.
I'll believe it when I'm
there.
Opposite Archie.
Yeah. So how does that wind out for you then? Like, did you know when your last episode was going to be, and how close to that was that when you came back?
I didn't know.
Right.
Yeah. If I had my time again, I would have definitely done this year a bit differently because I ended up hanging out in Vancouver for a little while longer because they got me a work permit for sort of up until the end of the season. And yeah, I then went to LA for a month, and I think basically was just living off of kind of, money from those episodes I'd done, and I wasn't able to do other work. And normally I work as a fitness instructor, so it's kind of
your O1 is specific to.
Well, Canada, it's not O1.
No, that's right. It's just your work visa.
Well, the one I had was open work permit, and then they get you a work permit just to work on their show.
Okay.
So you can't do other stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Kind of makes it tricky.
Yeah.
When if I had my time again, I think I would have just done the episodes, gone to LA for a couple of weeks, and then come back and
cashed up
and just keep working. Yeah. It's not necessarily about being cashed up. Just I don't know. You got to be smart, when you're doing creative stuff because you just don't know when it's gonna.
Yeah, when you're going to have a bit of a hiatus or...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you just you can't be just hoping you're going to get work. You need to be working and then, balancing
up.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Important to be supporting yourself, yeah.
When I first got into acting and I was just going through, a bunch of YouTube videos on, advice from the greats and all that kind of stuff. One of the ones that
Inside the Actors Studio interviews. Yeah.
I mean, I've watched as many of those.
The rabbit hole.
As I can, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
They're so good.
They're great.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks has always been one of, those guys who has just so many pearls of wisdom, but was actually one of the British versions of sort of the Inside the Actors Studio. Then they do a lot of interviews, and he said one of my biggest pieces of advice is just make sure you've got a little bit of cash to ride out those desperate times so that you can survive the marathon that acting is. Because it's not a sprint, and you really that's I always had just
it can
something.
be a bit of a head fuck because also like you if you get something good, people assume that you're rolling in it.
And you're set.
Yeah. Like
and
some mate showed me the other day some article online estimates my net worth at like 1 to 5 million, which is a big gap. Like 1 to 5 million.
Right, that's a
but
huge gap.
But it's also not true. So I don't know where they're getting their figures, but it is a bit of the,
that speculation, and then of course you're not, and then So what else did you do? You were an Arrow as well. You did a little spot on Arrow, is that right?
I just did a day on Arrow, but it was a pretty cool week because when I auditioned for Arrow, like I found out I booked it the next day, and then the day after that I auditioned for Riverdale.
Oh,
it's the same casting director.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so
you had that presence in the room. Yeah,
that audition for Arrow. I don't know, like I was just things were kind of. I don't know, feeling. I think I was just backing myself a lot more and caring less in a good way. Like as in I just went in and it was like this scene where, it's a walk and talk with this other cop, and then the lights kind of go out, and then they shit themselves, and one guy flies off, kind of thing, and it's like, where do you go? And then he's like, yeah, come out, motherfucker, or whatever. I don't think he swears. I can't remember the line, but it was just like, like shitting himself and pretty heightened, really. And a lot of auditions, they vary quite a bit, but a lot of the time, those smaller roles, it's not necessarily like super heightened. It's more kind of conversational or whatever. So I was just like, screw it, I'm just going to go for it. And just go with whatever's, I get super nervous in auditions, but I'm like, just use that energy.
Yeah.
And did one take and they were like, it was great. I was like, cool, sweet, okay. And then...
it's a weird feeling when they go, yeah, good, okay, see you. And you're like, is that good? Or they just don't want to waste the time?
No, I just trust them. I'm just like, no worries.
Well, you're not going to argue with them, are you? No, I really think I need another one. And then you botch it and they're like, oh, I don't know if we like that guy anymore.
No, I don't mind. Like, I think if you're an actor, if you want another take and it's an audition, sure, don't go for like 3 or 4. But like, if you want another one, be confident in making that decision. Yeah, don't make the like, oh, I think I could be better. Don't try and convince them. But like, yeah. And
forever apologize.
And then the way it worked, it was really weird. But we were meant to shoot Riverdale first, and it was like on the Friday, and then I had Arrow the coming Tuesday. And then what happened was in Vancouver, and this happens pretty rarely, but it snowed pretty heavily. And it snows, but not that often.
No, because it's quite moist in Vancouver.
Very moist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to live in Banff, which is, crazy moist. Town cold.
No, colder.
Yeah, it's minus 40, 47 in the winter.
Oh, shit. Yeah, Vancouver's milder
like
than that.
Yeah.
But it is cold. It's colder than Australia. But basically, it snowed pretty heavy. And then, but like me and the other guys that were kind of in that day, the actors, we were already on set and getting hair and makeup and everything. And then the crew was coming in. I think some of the crew were coming in after the director was. And then they had, I think, an car accident.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And then people couldn't get in and out anyway. So, Camila Mendes, who plays Veronica, ended up just giving us a tour of the set, and we didn't work that day.
Cool.
So that was my first day on Riverdale.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty sweet. And then they brought us back, but they had to schedule it because I already had that job booked on Tuesday. So
you were swapping and changing sort of.
Yeah, so then they brought us back on the Monday. So I worked on Riverdale on Monday, Arrow Tuesday, and then Riverdale again on Wednesday. And I was like, I checked in with myself and just like, dude, just know that this is not going to be next week. This isn't next week. This week is a good week.
Yeah.
Next week, you're back to teaching people how to move.
It's a really interesting thing that you've touched on there. That is that little sweet moment when you're an aspiring actor and you finally get like a week of work in a block, and you're like, this is what it's like to do this every day. This is amazing, you know. And then you're even more hooked than you ever were. There's nothing like actually being paid to do that thing for 5 or 6 or 7 days in a row.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I loved it. It's so good. And then you're right. And then all of a sudden it's over. Yeah. And I'm back to taking photos, and you're back to training people at the gym, which is also great. Which is also
awesome,
fun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it if I didn't want to do it. But yeah, it's just like that reality check. And I think even like because I didn't work and I just did acting kind of the start of the year, I think I did get a little bit ahead of myself. And I don't know how you don't in a way, but then it was definitely harder to come back to doing other stuff.
I would imagine it's brutal.
It's weird. It's just a bit of a head fuck. And I think it's all a projection of your own judgment, but you worried about what people think and everything. They've seen you on the show.
Yeah.
And like, oh, but aren't you meant to be an actor? It's like, yeah.
The questions.
I am.
Oh, so aren't you acting anymore? What are you doing here? I mean, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where like you just have to not really give too much of a shit and just keep doing what you're doing.
Because I would imagine in your position that if you did give so much of a shit, you would end up taking anything in order to keep living that thing that they know you for, or what have you. I just got to be acting, or I'm not going to do anything at all.
Yeah, I just don't know how you'd survive. You know,
I'm always curious about. You know, you hear about
in saying
actors.
that, I'm applying for Survivor 2020.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you really?
It's the only like reality show I think I would do.
Okay.
Because I love it.
Right.
Do you watch Survivor?
No.
It's the only TV show that I
really
watch.
That's nuts. Okay, look, I used to love it back in the day, when it first came out.
The last season was so good.
I can't do reality TV, man. I'm.
But it's not. It's better.
It's just one of those.
It's better than reality TV.
Circle conversations when neither of us is going to convince the other. I just can't do it. Yeah.
No, the other stuff is like it's a bit painful to watch. I can't a lot of that stuff. I just struggle to watch it, and they manipulate it so much, and they still do that with Survivor. They still edit bits to make it more dramatic and whatever.
Sure.
But like, there's just something about the structure of that show where, you know, they're putting people in that situation and they actually do have to survive. I think there's something about that in of itself that already weeds out a lot of the kind of crap contestants.
Okay.
And then they're doing challenges that are tough and there's competition in that. And then the social aspect, that's where it's a bit more... you know, like they've got to vote each other out and all that sort of stuff. But I still prefer that to like a bachelor pretending to be into these women and then the women fighting with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fucking tough, man.
But you can't, that's the thing. It's such a big part of the landscape of TV in Australia, which is, you know.
It's huge.
It is what it is, you know. It's cheap TV to make, you know. They don't have to hire actors and, you know, all this.
Why do it?
Why do Survivor?
Yeah, like
because I want to.
But do you not think? Do you not worry that it will affect your roles after that? If you're now a reality TV guy, especially if you're super popular in that thing, do you not think it will bleed over in some way?
I don't know. I think a lot of actors have that worry. Like, I think if I was really, really worried about that stuff, then why would I even come on a podcast? You know what I mean?
Oh, I think
if it's even like, because some people take it that far where it's like, okay, I don't want to do interviews. I don't want to, you know, because then people, they don't see me, they don't see the character on the show or the movie.
Sure, I know what you're saying.
They see me.
Yeah.
And I just think that if you're a decent actor, people see the character very quickly.
Yeah.
Because you're in that, and that's everyone doing a good job. That's the writers doing a good job. That's the directors doing a good job. And you know what I mean? Because I just think like, I still want to be me and
do what I want to
be
do.
out there, and I enjoy this stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's fun.
I hear what you're saying, and I have often wondered.
So yeah, I do. I wonder too. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
what will happen
at the same time? Australia is also a bubble. No one knows in the States that Chris Hemsworth did Dancing with the Stars.
Fair enough. Yeah,
You know,
I do know what you mean. Yeah,
so
that's
it's a
true.
little bit different too. If Chris Hemsworth did whatever, like The Bachelor in the States, would he be Thor? I don't know. I don't know. What? We don't know.
No, you make a really valid point. And I mean, I have often wondered with two of my favourite podcasts, Dax Shepard and Michael Rosenbaum.
Armchair Expert.
Yeah, it's
good.
And Inside of You. And, you know, Michael Rosenbaum played Lex Luthor in Smallville. And
oh, yeah.
And
was he a part of that cult too? Or was that was just the other girl?
No, they've talked about that a little bit.
Nexium?
Alison Mayer?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's fucking out there.
Yeah.
And you've got to fuck all these people, and you know you'll be healed by the
we're going to brand you. Boom.
Fucking
imagine that.
So I'm going to take a quick side note here because this is hilarious.
Love them.
I was on a workshop on Sunday in Sydney with Creve Stenders, and
sorry, I don't know who that is.
He directed Danger Close, Red Dog. And Danger Close has been doing really well. It's
really?
Like an 8.5 on IMDb.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I haven't gone around to seeing it yet.
I've really wanted to see it, and my coach.
I normally try and see like everything at the movies, but I just
like to as
lately
well.
haven't. Yeah.
My coach Miles Pollard is in the film. He's a chopper pilot, and so I've been wanting to see it. And then my first experience on a film set ever was for a Creve Stenders film. Called Kill Me Three Times back in the day with Teresa Palmer and Brian Brown and a bunch of other people. But anyway, So I went up to Sydney for this workshop because I'm a big fan of his, and there's sort of some nostalgia involved in there. Anyways, we're getting halfway into the class, and it's a big workspace, and a mate of mine runs the Actors Hub up in Sydney, and there's one in Perth now as well. And he said, sorry to interrupt, guys, but you guys have noticed the people out in the front room, they've been setting up sort of mattresses and things like that. And we're like, yeah. And he goes, well, that's actually going to be a tantric workshop that I was not aware about. So in about 2 hours, they're going to start a lot of deep breathing and fucking. And your workshop, which is in the back room with no other exit, is going to be finishing right in the middle of that.
No way.
So they hadn't quite got busy yet, and we had to single file walk through this group of people who are ready to fuck each other's brains out.
Do they fuck in that workshop?
Dude, so then I'm at a bar down the road because my flight's not till 10 o'clock and I'm having a couple of pints.
And there were people fucking at the bar.
and the director sends me photos. He's like, check this out. He's like pulled the veil back, and there's all these people on mattresses getting busy.
Oh.
And then he took a little sound recording of some chick, some extreme noise.
Interesting.
And he's like,
that sounds like a logistical, maybe someone's kind of in the front office has stuffed up a little bit there.
It's like, you didn't specify what you wanted the space
Margaret,
for.
we seem to have double booked the room A and B, and we put tantric in A.
Yeah, instead of B.
B's trapped behind a wall of sex
and stench.
Can't get out.
Yeah. And he's like, I have to now, you're paying, I'm going to be charging you an extra cleaning bill. There's no way that some of that didn't spread. Like, you have to state what you want the room for.
But how was the workshop?
The workshop was great. It was really, really great.
So weird energy in there, but it was good.
Yeah, well, because we're all sort of a little bit tuning in towards the end of the class to wonder what we're about.
Half the class ended up in the tantric workshop.
Yeah. I just go use the bathroom. Just I'll be back. Look, it was a really great workshop, and it was one of those things.
So it was a director's workshop?
It was an acting workshop.
Yeah. Was he working with you guys?
He was working with us, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And sort of from his very, so directly from his experience, if I was directing you in this scene right now, this is how I would work you through it.
Yeah.
And no one gave him what he wanted straight out of the gate. So there was this great incremental build-up. I'll be honest and say that I didn't give him what he wanted at all, I don't think.
Yeah.
And you win some, you lose some. But it's definitely given me some notes to take to Miles and work on. But,
I wonder how similar his directing in that workshop would have been to the real thing. Because there's no chance that it's bang on.
No.
Because if he's in a workshop, right, and it's just him and a bunch of actors, then he gets to be kind of basically the teacher.
Yes.
And director in that workshop.
Yeah.
And doesn't have to organize the whole
it's very
fucking thing.
laser. Yeah.
Yeah. Because as a director, I think as actors, most people think the director's there to direct the actors, and it's just not true.
It's not true. Yeah, he spoke about that.
They're there to he's the top dog. It's his project, and he's there to he's the conductor of the whole thing, and the whole thing is a shitload of people.
Yeah,
and a lot of the time the director might not even say shit to you.
So he talked about that a lot. Actually, he said, "I love it when something goes wrong because I finally get to re-engage." You know, because most of the time I feel like I could walk away and everyone's doing their part and I'm not that involved, you know. And one of the things that we didn't get, which he was going to do, but we ran out of time because he just spent more time with the actors, was for my scene specifically, it was from Danger Close. And he said, I've got the rushes here from this scene and I really want to show you guys just how hard it was to get this scene right.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see that after bombing, you know. Yeah. And he said it was a really tough scene, you know. It's got a very specific cadence and feeling and vibe and a lot of that. He said, you know, any good director will tell you that casting is where his job is done the most. Because once they come and then they just give it to you the way that they have interpreted it, and you've got to sort of just take that. You know, when Travis Fimmel rocked up and was ready to do his part, no one expected it to sound like it sounded from him. And they were a bit fuck in the beginning, and then but then they were like, but that's him, that's his interpretation, that's Travis, so let's roll with it. So we didn't get to see that, but I would have loved to have seen that. But I love that part of it too, that's that creative process that I love, being on set and then playing with it and did you get much leeway
seeing where it goes
in Riverdale?
I think there was only really a couple of times but most of the time I was pretty much just doing what I thought needed to be done, or you know how I my interpretation of it. There was maybe one time where a director was like, okay mate, go a bit darker on it, kind of thing, and I was just like, but that's just a cliche. It just felt a bit cliche where he was pushing it, but then
Did you use that take?
I don't think so.
There's some.
I felt like it needed to be a bit more ambiguous instead of just this is what's happening. You know, a bit a bit obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in general, the directing was awesome. And really encouraging crews and working with. I was mostly opposite Cammy and KJ, and also really encouraging to work with. Yeah.
Do you stay with your accent the whole time that you're on set and what have you? Or
no.
Right. Okay. So you can pop in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
I don't know. I think. Yeah, I've heard of actors doing that. I just don't know if it works. I think they think they're fooling people or something, or
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've heard of actors doing an American accent when they're going into a room and just talking to whoever, and I don't think I don't think you're doing yourself a favor by doing that. Just because I think you're actually doing yourself a massive favor when you switch the accent on. Back yourself and switch it on, because then they go oh wow, Americans go, oh wow, he can act, he can do an American accent, he can act. But it's I think maybe maybe like I get why some people they want to like stay warmed up in their character.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get a bit of that stuff. You know, and in between takes, but then, you know, when you're like chilling out in between setups, like setups can take ages, you know.
Yeah.
Setup could be 5 minutes, could be 30, 45 hour, you know, that you're just sitting there.
Just doing nothing, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's tricky when they don't really give you much warning on like, okay, you guys are on set now. It's like that can be a little bit tricky. Yeah, if anything, I just think like people just need to practice their American accent, like
All the time.
Just have it kind of ready to go.
Ready to go.
Which I'm guilty of too, of getting a bit lazy with it. But I think a lot of Aussies just assume that they'll be right once they get the thing, and then they'll be able to do it. But it's like every sound is different, you know. So yeah.
I know the only time I've had to do another accent, and it was I played Ned Kelly in a feature film last year.
Oh yeah,
which was a lot of fun. And of course, the discussion was before that we were going to run with an Irish accent, because there's a lot of debate over that, because he was born here, but his whole family and all of his friends and all the cops were Irish. So
you'd have to assume Irish then.
You'd have to assume it, although some historians are adamant there's no way he would. But anyways, the decision was made.
I think they've gone Irish with the true history of the Kelly gang.
Oh, for sure, which is not the true history at all. He's got a mullet and fucking all these bright coloured circle spotted clothes, and I mean, the guy who wrote the book they based it on has openly said this is a work of fiction.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the film that I was in was based on a historian's account that he's written over 10 years, and it was from the perspective of the policeman that Ned Kelly killed at Stringy Bark. So it's about
interesting
them and their families and the people that were left behind, and the ripple effect of that. When someone kills 3 cops for doing their jobs, what does that look like, as opposed to
the other side?
Fucking Robin Hood of, you know, Northern Victoria, which you can tell through history and all the documents and what have you that he never gave any money back to his mother. She was destitute for the rest of her life.
So you're not a Ned fan?
Well, I'm not a fan of anyone who goes out and murders people for no reason. But I didn't give.
But you had to play him. Yeah.
So that was. It was. I did my research, and I met with the author and had a good conversation with him and what have you. And it was a perspective on reality that I'd never even thought of. Like, oh, okay, I guess if you really analyse that, this dude did go around and kill a bunch of people, and at Glen Rowan, had he been successful, he would have murdered like 70 people, you know, and derailed that train, potentially. So, but I had to do the Irish accent, and I trained and what have you. But for me, once I got to set, I had to stay in it all the way, because I would just drop easily. And then, because it was like two takes, you know, limited budget, we had to shoot 15 pages in 2 days or whatever of, you know, some heavy dialogue and action and what have you. I couldn't drop out of it. And I was lucky that the guy playing Dan Kelly was keen to keep it up, you know, and there was still that judgment, you know, these fucking dickheads who think it's not going to break character or whatever. I was like, man, I have to, or it's going to sound like shit. You know? And you still I hear spots where I drop it and I'm like, motherfucker. You know, it's the pits. You want to smash it. You want to do a great job. So you're back now, and that's an indefinite period.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of done everything I can do to, at this point, to kind of get back over to Canada. Like I've applied for residency over there, and then I've applied for the green card lottery. Did that last month. So it's kind of a
bit of a waiting game.
Back to kind of a bit like that, which is a bit of a shame, just because like off the back of having a bit of a good run on a show,
you want to ride that momentum.
It'd be nice to be in LA right now. Yeah, and be, you know, just on the front foot with all that stuff, but I just can't do that right now.
Not even in a holiday visa capacity? Not while you're applying or something, is it? No,
I could go do 3 months, but then I don't know. It's a bit of a different, I guess, landscape at the moment with getting work permits and stuff. Like they really want you to have a work permit now. 10 years ago it wasn't such a big deal, but now with Trump being in, like, getting visas and stuff is not
Hard
as
graft.
quick.
Yeah.
So they want you to have that already. They want you to have an O1. It does depend on the job and how far off it is, but so much of TV is like they're casting the week before.
So they're not going out and getting you a visa.
They just figure they can find someone, I reckon.
Right.
Yeah. So not to say that it can't happen, not to say that you can't do it like that. But I think the next logical step is, either O1 or a green card. And also I don't want to be in LA with, not much money. Like, you want to go over there saved up and kind of...
Yes. So you're not
going about it
it.
in a smart way.
Yeah.
And with a car, and it's just such a massive city to
Yes,
get
it
around.
is.
And
Yeah, public transport there is fucked.
Public transport's a bitch there.
Yeah.
Whereas Vancouver, I didn't have
great.
a car.
Yeah. It's like
and I was
being
there
in
for
New
3
York.
years, so...
Yeah. I was living in Brooklyn, and like I couldn't imagine. I had an Australian friend there who had a car, and I was like, why?
It's a point.
I mean, your fucking garage fees for this thing would be astronomical.
Yeah.
And it's a nightmare to park.
Melbourne's kind of good. Both is kind of doable, but...
No, I know what you're saying. I recently, so when my friend went to Toronto to do... She moved. She managed to get, she was just under 35. She managed to get that visa. And I've already had my Canadian visa. But
right.
back in the day when that was the 30-year-old cutoff, and then of course we've missed the next cutoff, and we were applying for...
And what were you doing over there? You were working with the ski lifts?
Yes. Yep. I was as a portrait photographer.
Oh, cool.
And then I went on and worked on the oil patch, working on pipelines and installing gas pipes and all this kind of stuff. And so I did my year.
You burnt it.
Yeah, gone. Before I was even into the creative world.
Yeah, it's such a bitch, isn't it? I wish it used to be that you could extend it as many times as you wanted.
Get out.
And then a few years ago they changed it and you can just do one.
Fuck.
So
See, when I was there, you could. So they must have changed it quite a lot, because in 2003 you had to get the fuck out as soon as it was done. Your year was up, out. But I saw a post recently, and I don't know how much validity is in this, and I fucking hope that it is really on point, that the Australian government, in a new trade agreement with Britain and Canada, are going to open those doors completely, so that it's like New Zealanders coming here, and we can go
really?
jet straight over to Canada, and because we're all part of the Commonwealth, and we've got this set up, that we're good to go.
Yeah, well, I wonder if the UK will be pushing that, considering stuff that's gone on there. But yeah, that would obviously be bloody handy.
Wouldn't that be so great?
That'd be great.
It would be so great.
I'll be back over there.
Fucking like that.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'd be back over there.
And
there's just so much more going on.
And a lot of Canadians would be here in a fucking heartbeat,
But that's the thing. It's like we both
benefit.
Like, there's so many people that want to be here.
Vice versa.
Yeah. Very smart.
I have a very...
when did you hear about this?
Like
tell me
a
more.
month ago?
Tell me more.
Like a month ago.
Okay, that's positive.
And I posted that shit and I signed that petition ASAP.
Oh, it was a petition.
Yeah, it was a petition as well. Which was...
Send me the link.
Yeah, it'll be on my what do you call it, page, my Facebook page. I'll send it out, because it'd be good to check in with it to see how they're tracking on that. It's something apparently, when I was reading it, that's been in the pipe for a while, and they were having, they were building close to that bill pass meeting or whatever they call it. It's not a referendum, whatever the fucking word is, but I'm not much of a politics kind of dude.
No.
And another great thing is, and you might have heard this along the grapevine, is that Netflix are building a studio in Toronto.
I haven't heard that, no.
So that's why my friend went to Toronto, and that was coming down the line from her mates that are all working out there. And I
Toronto.
thought, that's fucking good. And it's like a 3-hour drive to New York from Toronto as well. So
they built one in Vancouver as well.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, it was like one of the biggest ones they've ever done.
Jesus.
Some $1 billion studio. I think they're shooting the Lord of the Rings TV series there.
I thought they were doing New Zealand.
I don't think so. I think Canada. I think.
Right.
I heard they were auditioning a lot of Aussies.
Yeah, okay.
Because of the accent and stuff. But...
Because I reached out...
That's what I thought.
Right. That might make sense, because I reached out to my agent the other day, having just caught wind that it was all happening. he said, look, they've already cast it, and now they don't know if they're even going to shoot it. So they must have had some funding issues or what have you. So he said
that's massive.
Massive, yeah.
To make that a series, like...
It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I mean, people will watch it.
Fuck yeah.
Everyone's going to watch it, but it would need to be like Game of Thrones, like esque ×2, whatever, like it's,
Well, its major point of difference, if it keeps in line with Peter Jackson, is that it's not overly sexual and swearing and all that kind of stuff. So it finds that sort of sweet spot in the middle where you'll have more kids being able to watch it and what have you. So that might be, I mean, especially considering they're about to, or they're not too far away from shooting the prequel to Game of Thrones. So that will cover that airspace in that sort of vein.
Yeah.
I think Naomi Watts has already signed on.
Oh, really?
As the main chick for that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool to see. And I wonder though if they haven't, milked it a little bit. Game
of Thrones.
Just even as someone like me who's a massive, fucking comic book fan. Once, I don't know if you're into the Marvel films, but when Endgame wrapped, and I was just, floored for days, and this was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now like, when I'm hearing, this is coming and this is coming, that's all part of that universe. I'm like, you know what, man? I'm actually now, I just want you to give it a rest. New characters, new stories.
Yeah,
but
that's not how money works, though.
No, I don't need a Scarlet. I don't need a fucking Black Widow standalone.
Well, it's coming.
I know. even when we went to see, Spider-Man Euro Trip or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Wasn't bad.
But it wasn't
great.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
And I was kind of done. I feel like they had just polished it off so well.
No, they're going to milk it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you look at one of those.
But yeah, I don't know, because Endgame was just so good.
So good.
So good. So I hope that, I guess what keeps coming and ends up being so good again. Because there were a lot of naysayers along the way. They were just like, oh, this movie, oh, that movie. Yeah. And then they all started fucking watching all the Marvel movies because everyone was like, Endgame's the best. And then all these people were just like, but I haven't seen this and this and this
and this and this. And what, I've got to go back and watch 15 films?
My housemate in Canada watched all of, she had to rewatch all of them. Or watch them all for the first time.
We did it recently, just over the course of a week, where we got at least 7 of them down, because Erica, my wife's mother, is a fucking mad fan. She buys all the DVDs. So
what's a DVD?
Exactly. Oh, sorry, Blu-ray.
Blu-ray. Don't even know what that is.
and we, from the very first appearance of Tony Stark in the Hulk, we started from there, and then to Iron Man and so on. And there has been a few of them along the way. We're like, I can be okay with never seeing that one again.
Sure.
But Infinity Wars,
Iron Man 3.
Oh,
yeah.
No, it was Iron Man 2.
Oh, the 2 was a shit, and 3 was good.
Yeah, 3 was great.
Iron Man 1 was just, when that came out, I was like, this is sick.
The best.
Yeah.
The best. But on a sort of side note, I love how Hugh Jackman wound up his time as, Logan
was
the best.
The best.
Yeah, and for me, it rivals Endgame. We walked out of there with that same shell shock, and devastation that he was dead. Sorry for anyone who hasn't seen Logan.
Alert.
You're a cunt if you haven't seen it anyway.
We don't like you anyway. Yeah. No, Logan is so good. The way that Hugh Jackman played that character, because it wasn't just like Wolverine souped up. And Wolverine's still a great character because he's got that internal conflict anyway. There's this struggle that he's going through anyway, so you're already like, what is up with this guy?
Yeah.
But then with Logan, it was ramped up times 10.
Yeah.
He wasn't fully capable, but he was still, and it was pretty violent, pretty brutal too.
But it was the most violent of them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, the way that he approached that character work is why that movie is so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, anyway.
He took it to the next level, and I think that he and Patrick Stewart were able to bring that theatre into the. He talks about the scene between him and when he first walks into that silo and he's giving him the pills and everything. It took them I think he said something like they rehearsed that scene for 2 weeks or whatever.
Oh, right.
To get it that tight, and it really does have.
Because then everything kind of flows on from there.
Yeah, it really sets it's kind of states the theme a little bit, and gives you all of that backstory without being exposition, which is an incredible feat in itself.
Yeah.
With high stakes and vulnerability and drama and comedy all in that.
I guess that's also the main problem with a lot of the TV series and the comic books and everything is the exposition and just explaining to everybody.
Pandering to the audience.
Pandering to the audience, like, we don't, if the acting is good,
we'll get it.
We get it.
Yeah.
We're like, whoa, like he's going like dementia or whatever, like, or like he's a drunk, he's done something bad or whatever. We get the question mark. We like question marks.
Exactly.
We don't need to know everything.
Yeah. There's too much of that.
Intrigue. Yeah.
Intrigue is great.
Such a good movie.
I mean, Peaky Blinders is incredible at doing that. You know,
I need to dive in. Okay, look, all right. Should that be the next show that I actually watch? Peaky Blinders?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've heard enough people obviously tell you about it. Yeah.
Everyone, yeah.
And every season is as good as each other. There's not a single season or a single moment where it drops a beat.
Okay.
So fucking good. Cillian Murphy and Tom Hardy. I mean, you can't really go too wrong.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. We just smashed out the 6th season, or is it the 5th? And they've got another 2 slated, and I think a full feature film as well as part of the whole journey of that show. Yeah. And look, it's only 6 episodes.
A season?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that's a little more attainable.
See, I much prefer that.
It's like 3 features.
Yeah, exactly.
Season. Yeah.
I also need to like have phone off and like focus. Yes. That's why I love the movies. Like phone off, focus.
You can always,
which is kind of my bad.
Turn your phone off when you're on the couch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my bad. That's why I could do that.
I do the same too.
But
and I reprimand myself when I catch myself too. I'm like, you motherfucker, you're one of those people. It's 2 hours.
You really judge yourself, do you?
Fuck yeah.
I go down a dark spiral of self-judgment.
Man.
Who am I?
Like, because I give people so much shit for not being connected, you know, and not engaging.
Asshole.
What a cunt.
What kind of artist are you?
I know. I'm a purist, man.
Get out of here, man.
Yeah. So, what about now that you're back and you've got this great collection of work from Vancouver and you're in this sort of waiting on visas and what have you, and of course you'll be taking whatever auditions come down, but have you written anything yourself, or is that something you've ever wanted to do or aspiring to do, or made anything?
I've thought about it. Yeah. I have written a pilot for a sitcom. I think part of it is that my dad's a screenwriter.
Oh, wow.
And he's done some like pretty prolific stuff back in the day. But I don't know, like I think there's like this worry that I'm like, oh no, I'm going to become a writer like my dad. And then there's also like the positive thought. It's like, oh cool, maybe I'm a writer. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But I think it's that like bit of a tap into when you love characters and you love human beings and you're able to kind of imagine what they're like, then you can put them together in these situations and have this kind of dialogue, conflict, whatever.
It informs all the dialogue and the choices.
I was really surprised by how quickly I pumped out this pilot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I did that earlier this year, and I kind of just did it because I was like, I've got this idea. I just need to write it, just get it on paper. Because my dad always said like the hardest part is starting, so just start typing. Yeah. Just
get words on.
Just start typing and it'll write.
Yeah, and you can go back and backtrack it and tighten it up.
And then I also read something recently, just before I started writing that, was that don't edit as you go. Like have those 2 different hats on. Not at the same time. Does that make sense? Put those hats on at different times. Yeah. So like as you're writing and creating, go for it. Yeah. Don't judge too much. Just like let it kind of flow. And then maybe give it some time, come back and then look over it and edit and take bits that you like out, bits that you like and change bits up or change what the character says. and then keep that separate, because what's going to happen is if you have that like editing hat on while you're trying to create, it kind of stifles it.
Yeah, you fuck it up.
Yeah, so that was really interesting. I think it was a Stephen Pressfield book that I was reading about. Do the Work, I think it was called.
Yeah. Okay, right. I read a great book, Save the Cat. Have you read this book?
Oh yeah, no.
Oh,
Save the Cat.
Save the Cat. Blake
Is that
Snyder.
a Dr. Zeus?
It's like a
like, yes, it was Dr. Zeus, and it's a lot of metaphors, and
it's like the objective of a film, save the cat, like the hero saves someone, whatever, and he's a spec film writer. He's done like the Spy Kids and all that kind of stuff, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Or he was in that sort of realm, or Blank Check, I think it was one of the ones. Anyways, Blake Snyder, it's a great book called Save the Cat, and he teaches you really how to set up your 15 beats across your 3 acts, and shows you how to just follow those beats and you'll have the story. And it was great because I had never written anything before, and I was like, okay, I'm going to write a feature film. How the fuck do I do this? And I was able to just get a whiteboard, write those beats out from his beat sheet, and then...
Beat sheet.
Yeah. Which you can get online.
It's like a beat cheat sheet.
Exactly.
Get the beat cheat sheet.
Beat sheet. And and then just mold it to that. And then I can... write around that, because there was no way I was going to ever just, if you think that I don't think you can just start
structure,
just
you've got to have a bit of
gotta know where you're going,
knowledge about story.
Actually, that takes me back to what one of Criv's probably overarching messages in the workshop was, to reverse engineer scenes. He's like, this is where you need to be at the end of this scene. Work backwards and make sure that then you get there, because everyone was sort of hitting their mark too soon, or what have you, myself included. And he's like, that's this tempo, this volume, or this color is where you need to be. So you're going to start here and know your trajectory. And that's actually how I always used to do all my art projects at school, was I would do the end project first and create the content in the middle to get the points, to get the A, because they don't just want to see a finished product.
Right.
And it was how I wrote my
Probably
film.
got really good marks.
I got A pluses.
Yeah, I struggled. I got really bad marks.
Right. That was the only class
I remember doing that. I'm just being like, why do I need to show you how I did this? I just painted it.
Yeah. Right. So, okay, cool. Yeah. So I would always go straight to the end.
Yeah, right.
And then...
That's my problem with school.
Yeah. And
but maybe smart for scene work. Yeah.
It's great. It really works.
And I love that about scenes too, is like there's like a lot of clues all around the place, and like you can't just ignore that. Like there might be some piece of the puzzle. You can't just ignore that. That's telling you that you need to be calm in that moment. You can't be shouting.
Yeah, it just doesn't suit, or it doesn't match.
Sometimes, I've heard some actors kind of almost like fall back on but it's my interpretation. It's like, no, it's not completely.
The writers a little
bit. You got to like what's written there is circumstantial. You need to at least produce that, and then your interpretation on top. You can't just do your bullshit,
especially if it's not within the given circumstances. Why are you shouting? You've got the villain is just around the corner, and he could hear you.
Yeah, maybe exactly. Maybe there's people in the next
privacy
room.
in public.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just you not doing your work and really understanding the fucking scene. Yeah, and I'm just gonna make this bold choice that everyone sees me.
Yeah, and it's usually in
it's the wrong choice.
Well, yeah, often it's just like, I think a lot of actors, we want to be good actors. Like we want to be seen to be really good at what we do, and that often gets in the way of just being what's written. I think like my mentality. And possibly what got me back on the show a few times was that like just showing up and just doing what was required of me.
Yeah, especially in a show like that.
Yeah, and the writing on that show is different. It's not going to be like Neighbours.
Right.
It's not going to be like this. It's going to be slightly melodramatic. It's a comic book show. It's a bit of a soap.
Right.
So, I think a lot of people, they don't want to go to that level with it, but it's requiring you to do it. So
This
you
is why
might
you're
as well.
here. Yeah.
Here's your and there's your
And do
opportunity
it.
to have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my thought was just like, I'm just going to go for it where I can. I was still nervous to do that and make big choices, but like,
Yeah.
go for it. Try and do what's written.
And so has that doing that and crossing over, and then obviously you did do it and you did it well because it got you back. Would that be integrated in your brand a little bit, do you think? Or
What do you mean? In
like,
my brand?
Like if let's just say you're a really still kind of actor, and then for whatever reason they go, but I see something in this guy, and you get out there and you're wanting to do your stillness, and then they want you to be large and you're a bit nervous, and then you do it and it comes off. You're like, oh, well, now there's a little bit of me that I was too nervous to do before that I've done and worked. I might start incorporating that into more of my choices.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I think about acting that way. Like,
Right.
in like what my style of acting is or anything.
Really?
Nah.
Yeah, okay.
I just think like every job's going to be different. Every character's going to be different. And
There's still you, though. Or
yeah.
Yeah, so you still will have a through line that's you, that's recognizable as you.
Yeah, I like to try and, as much as I can, put like my authenticity into it. So
Yeah.
you're getting all that energy and behind it. Yeah, but in terms of like being small, being big, like I guess what I'm saying with Riverdale is like you've got a chance on that show to be quite big.
Yeah.
And then they can dial you back if they really need you to.
Yeah.
Or if, it's a super tight shot and they need you to just really just be there
Sit in it.
and small and just sometimes just say those words can sometimes be more powerful or just what's required in that moment too.
But so the bigger stuff was more nerve-wracking for you, though?
I think the more you put yourself out there in general with acting, the more nerve-wracking it's going to be. Like the bigger choices are always going to feel a bit. That's why I get confused when a lot of actors go like, "Oh, I just didn't feel good," or something, and I don't know. I think often that also isn't necessary. Like you don't necessarily need to feel. I get connected. Connected feels good.
Yeah.
But sometimes people aren't connected. Sometimes people are a bit lost. Sometimes people are a little bit off. Maybe that'll translate really well. I think spontaneous is as good as you can hope for.
Yeah.
As well. Connected and spontaneous. But like often I feel weird after a take.
Oh, okay.
And I think
Like you don't know what just happened.
so maybe not like people talk about like blanking out a bit. Like I think when you're present, you're not like really thinking about every moment.
Just
sort of,
it's all instinctual.
it's spontaneous. It's sort of just happening. But yeah, I don't think you need to feel good. I think like if you think about it, if whatever the situation is, just say it's a breakup scene. Would you feel good breaking up with someone? So what's feeling good in that scene?
Yeah. How do you
Feeling good
how
in
do you
that
define
scene
that?
might be feeling really shit. Like, or I'm super nervous about this scene. That's probably a good thing.
That's good.
Or like I'm just not getting this right. I feel sick in my stomach. That's good feeling to be having too. And
As opposed to you just being blank and cool.
Or like trying to do your idea of it. That I think all that stuff should be your preparation for the scenes is like exploring that, okay, what's this idea? What's that idea? And then kind of, letting it go there, ideally.
Yeah, that's the best you can hope for. And then being guided by
I think the best actors are the ones that they allow themselves to be bad. If that makes sense. Like shit.
Fail.
Yeah, like I'll do a take where fall on my face. Like I had a weird experience like doing this scene, like one of the last scenes I did on the show, and it was this like steam room scene. I'm there with like Veronica's dad. It was just like pretty awkward. And like I can't remember what really was going on, but the director was like, "Oh yeah, try it like this," and that direction wasn't really helping. And then I was like, "Oh, I'm trying to kind of nail it." I was like, "Okay, do a take that's just bad." Fuck it. Just do a take that's wrong, that feels wrong, that's bad. And getting into it, I felt weird. I felt like I wanted to stop. I wanted to which I never do. I've heard Nicole Kidman talks about that, about cutting a take. She's like, I'll never cut a take.
Just keep it running.
Because you don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know. You're in
know.
it. Like the director watching it might be like,
leave it up to them. This is
gold. And then you just go, sorry. And they're like, why did you stop? Yeah. So it's only going to, maybe the scene's only 30 seconds. It's only 30 seconds of people's lives. Like keep going. And I kept going and I was just like, this is so shit. In my head, I'm going, this is so shit. And kept acting the scene out. And then they were like, great. And I was like,
what?
Really? They were like, yeah. And then like Mark Consuelos was like, that was really good, dude. And I'm like,
that's we got it.
Trust you guys, I guess.
Yeah. You can seem to know what you're doing.
You just got to trust your director too. At the end of the day,
nothing worse than not.
You got to trust him.
Are you sure?
You got to trust him. Yeah.
Hey man, well listen, I really appreciate you coming down. It's been a good.
It's been fun, man.
Yeah, I love talking about films. I mean, hence the podcast. Yeah. And it does. It just turns into a fucking snowball, doesn't it? Especially when you're, for me, when you're got similar tastes as well. And you're like, this and this and this and this. Yeah. I'm less inclined to do it when we just don't share. And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Also, and like some people, a lot of actors too, maybe they're kind of like a bit shy to admit that they actually like Marvel movies, or they like stuff that's like a bit trashy or whatever. It's like,
it's not
if you
cool.
like it, if you like I like Survivor. It's like who gives a shit? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
get it out there, man.
If you really like The Bachelor, good on you. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I'm not going to judge you,
but don't pretend to. Oh yeah, I only watch Daniel Day-Lewis. That's it.
Yeah, right. Anthony Hopkins, Daniel Day-Lewis, Marlon Brando.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah.
All right, man.
They are.
Thanks
great,
very much. They
no
are.
worries,
I mean,
man.
they're incredible. They're my favorites. And Leonardo.